Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. If you remember, the day 25% tariff was announced for India by the United States of America, your channel had told you that it is not the tariff that one should be bothered about or one should be worried of. It is the penalty that will bother us more, because penalty will be arbitrary, and with a leader like Trump, it could be absolutely chaotic. We had said this the day this tariff was announced. And today, Trump has announced another 25% tariff on India, which means 25% before, 25% now, so 50% tariff on India. Were we expecting it? I think a lot of us were. Let's get right into the show and talk about it. America started this concept of reciprocal tariff, saying that bhai tum hum pe tariff karte ho to hum tumhare pe karenge. America first. Because you know what, this is not fair. You are not allowing our products to be marketed in your country, and you are by charging tariff, and you want me to open up my market and allow you to market your product. How fair is that? So if you charge me X, I'm going to charge you X. Reciprocal. That is how this entire process started. While a lot of people, including me, found that unfair, a lot of people said that no, theek hai. Okay, he is guarding his own country. He is protecting his own country's interest. To that extent, theek hai. Though I thought it was not actually guarding his country's interest. He was putting his country he was putting his economy in peril. That said, now the narrative is changed. Now that reciprocal tariff, which was put on to us because we were charging high tariff for American exporters, American products, that is the narrative is changed. Now he's saying you buy from Russia, no? So we are going to put additional tariff. अरे ये कल तक reciprocal था, आज punishment tariff. So your narrative changed, your goalpost changed based on your commitment. This is what I said, whims and fancies of Trump. His intentions are very different. His intentions are not America first and American economy first and all that. That is not what his intentions are. Please understand. He's got a personal axe to grind, possibly with Mr. Narendra Modi and therefore with India, and that is exactly what he is doing here. Secondly, Indian economy is growing. Indian economy is rapidly growing. His advisors obviously are telling him that. Till such time that we were at his feet, it was okay. He asked us, Iran se band karo, Iran se band kiya. He was okay with us. The day we started saying, nahi yaar, we have to guard our interest too. Why should we not buy from Russia? When you are buying fertilizers and uranium from Russia, why can't we buy oil from Russia? He said, Arey, acha. And that's precisely why his entire attitude has changed. Like I said, somehow there is something that he didn't like about Modi in his second term, and the fact that he doesn't like India to be a sovereign, independent mind, a country which thinks on its own, a country which can take its own decision. So this is why this tariff and this penalty, and he kept that penalty in his hand so that he can use it for his whims. That's why I said it is dangerous. I want you to think about this, because a lot of things have been told about this. A lot of economists, a lot of business journalists and economists and all of that have told you about this. Let us talk about some basic fundamentals. You see, what do you think is the difference between using trade as a weapon for destruction and, say, chemical weapons? How is it different? How is it different? Trade is also a weapon of mass destruction. And it is high time modern world accepts the fact that trade is also a weapon of mass destruction. Because by using trade, you can starve a country. Not that America can starve India, let us be very clear. But I am putting a point to you. Trade can starve a country. A country which is economically very powerful can actually use their economic power to ensure that they starve a country that possibly to some extent is dependent on this super economic power. They can starve a country, kill people, eradicate people. People lose jobs, they starve, they lose their everything, they lose their lifestyle, the country disintegrates. Economic power can do that. How is it different than a nuclear bomb? How is it different than a chemical bomb? Chemical bomb is instant, this is slow poisoning. This will take time, but gradually we'll get there. Why don't we recognize this as an attack on other sovereign countries? Because those sovereign countries do not listen to the superpower, the economic superpower called America. They're not using bombs. Third, look at how unreasonable Trump is. Look at how unreasonable Trump is. Just hear this.
President Trump.
Redress, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
His own people, journalists, are asking him this. What about you buying from Russia? Like I told you before. Why doesn't that matter? Why is it only that when India and other countries buy, it matters? And to this his answer is, I don't know. I'll get back to you. That's it. I'll give you some figures. You know, 50% tariff on us. Why? Because we buy oil from Russia. China imports 1,90,996 million euros worth of oil from Russia. 38,437 million euros worth of coal from Russia. And 35,538 million euros worth of gas from Russia. European Union imports 1,04,726 million euros of oil from Russia, 1,04,146 worth of gas, million euros worth of gas from Russia. India, 1,30,046 million euros of oil and 15,867 worth of coal and 423 worth of gas from Russia. If you actually look at it, we are not the largest purchaser. China is. European Union, which is supposed to be allies to Trump, they also purchase more than what we do. But that's okay with him. That's okay with him. Again and again I am telling you, he purchasing from Russia is okay with him. But we purchasing is a problem. You see, their own former governor, Chris Sununu, he says that I just think that the India one scares manufacturers. India one's money, Indian tariff scares manufacturers in US. The manufacturers in US are scared because a lot of them are today dependent on Indian products, Indian raw materials, Indian ancillaries, which is reaching them and at the price that we are selling to them. So today, manufacturers are dependent on Indian products. So the fact remains that a lot of manufacturers say that, listen, we have a fabulous relationship. We are allies with India and we are used to these products and they are good for us. It works to our advantage, both price and quality wise. They, according to their own former governor, are actually scared as to what is going to happen tomorrow if you charge 50%. So this decision of Trump is not America first decision for sure. I'll give you more example. Nikki Haley, another former governor, Republican former governor. She says India should not be buying oil from Russia, but China, an adversary and a number one buyer of Russian and Iranian oil, got a 90 days tariff pause. Don't give China a pass and burn relationship with a strong ally like India. The same thing what we were saying. Even their own people are saying, ye kya baat hui yaar? What kind of America first is this? China karta theek hai. You turn a blind eye. And you are gunning after India? Why? So, the point that I am trying to make here is it is not just us in India or maybe right thinking people across the globe talking about this. Even their own former governors and politicians and key opinion leaders are talking about it, which means that this policy is definitely not an American first policy. This is not an America first policy. This may not help America. On the other hand, the point that I wanted to prove with all this is this may harm America in the very near future. This will start harming America. Point number one. Point number two. You see, we had spoken to you about BRICS and why BRICS is turning out to be one of the biggest threats to the American economy. You see, the G7 and all put together equates to around 36% of the world GDP, whereas BRICS is almost 48%. BRICS is growing every day. America is dead worried about BRICS. And of course, like I told you last time, I tell you this time too. A person like Trump doesn't have the wisdom nor the vision to negotiate, to diplomatically tackle, diplomatically maneuver such organizations. He would use force. And in this case, economic force. The point is, you see, let's just understand. Let's show you another data. Let's just understand the tariff levied on BRIC members. India, 50% BRIC member. Brazil, 50%. BRIC member. China, 30% BRIC member. Of course, Myanmar, Switzerland, 40 and 39% respectively. That is. So the BRIC members are being identified and levies are charged. So another point. This is not about reciprocal tariff. Let's not use that word reciprocal tariff. ये reciprocal वगैरह नहीं है. This tariff is a bomb that America wants to use at anybody who they think do not toe their line. That's the point I want to make. You know, I want to take you through another statement that the foreign minister of China made, Wang Yi. He says using tariff as a weapon to suppress other countries violates the UN Charter, undermines WTO rules and is both unpopular and unsustainable. Exactly my point. This is a weapon. This is to harm people. This will one day kill people. This will one day kill nations. This has to be looked at as an aggressive act that America is taking against the world. India will manage. 50% kya, 100%. India will manage. It is not that India is going to starve or India is going to get massively burdened or India is going to lose. We will have our problems. It is not that, let us not be jingoistic and say kuch nahi, aisa kuch nahi hai. We will have our problems. We will definitely have our problems. But the fact remains that it is not that India they can kind of completely finish off and all that won't happen. But this, if it continues, and if this habit continues and he is there for 2 more years, if this is put on smaller economies, weaker economies, I'm sure those economies and those people will end up starving. So that's the point I wanted to make in my today's editorial. Till I see you tomorrow, that's at 10 o'clock. Namaskar.